So no, Transformers is not going to be getting official KO knockoffs from Hasbro. This is a Target listing that has recently showed up of a KO Prime Transformer. And this is clearly a Transformers Prime knockout listing for $22.99, clearly a deluxe price point. And we knew that we were going to be getting some kind of knockout figure. We knew that at some point we were going to be seeing Knockout get a Transformers RED figure, but we did not know that he'd be getting a transforming deluxe class figure. But it does not surprise me with the fact that we're going to be getting a whole bunch of other Transformer Prime characters in this Transformers Legacy Evolution collection. Now, I figure I'd use this recent news to kind of bring up a little bit of the history and the convolutedness of the trademark of Knockout. I don't think there's a character. There's very few, I will say this, but I don't think there is a character, unlike Knockout, that has such a weird history of a trademark just going all over the place within the Hasbro bubble, trying to find where it belongs to be that staple character. And a lot of Transformer characters that we love today had that similar kind of history. And Knockout is one of those, but I think he's the craziest one of them all. And we'll go through that today. Now, back in 1987, Hasbro issued a trademark for a character called Knockout. And they were going to use it with a G.I. Joe character, but for whatever reason, they also trademarked another trademark called Knockdown, and they used it instead with that character. And the Knockdown character was this Battle Force 2000 G.I. Joe character. He has his own story going on, but just a little note here, this little pinpoint in history just to point out. So they put out that Knockout trademark. They ended up not using it for the G.I. Joe character. But in 1990, before the trademark was going to expire, they used it because they had to. And they used it with, like many of the obscure Transformer characters that now have important names, it came from a Micromaster. So there was the Construction Squad. They were part of the Micromaster Combiners. And Knockout was one of those combiners. He was the rear end of his combiner team, with Gusher, his combiner team member of the Constructor Squad. Excuse me. And that was it. Much like Barricade, much like Blackout, he has those Micromaster Combiner origins before they became so well known as other entities within the Transformers brand. They refreshed the trademark. They were going to use it again, but this time again for G.I. Joe. And they did this G.I. Joe Ninja Commandos line, and there was going to be a ninja called Knockout. The toys were made. They were put in a limited run in some regions, but ultimately in the end, it didn't get a massive nationwide release. And that was that. The trademark expired not too long afterwards. And that was the end for the Knockout trademark for a majority of that era. Fast forward to 1999. We're knee-deep in the Beast Wars era, going into Beast Machines, and the Knockout trademark is trademarked again. Potentially to be used for G.I. Joe. Maybe it's going to be used for Transformers. Maybe they're going to take one of those Transformers Beast Wars Neo or Beast Wars Second molds and port it over here and call it Knockout. Who knows? There was all kinds of speculation abound back then, even within the trademark viewing community. And nothing came of it until 2002. Transformers Armada, the mini-cons. Again, Knockout going back to his micro origins. And he is part of the land military mini-con team. The tanks, if you will. And we get the mini-con of Knockout. And this mold would get remolded 5-6 times and get even more remolds and repaints under other names like Steam Hammer and all kinds of stuff. Either way, Point is that it was a mini-con now. Yeah, it's a mini-con. But after that mini-con release, it expired in 2003. But it was refreshed again in 2003. And where did they use it? They used it quickly on the Energon Ultra Magnus toy, which had a very limited release. The white cab of the Energon Ultra Magnus was called Knockout. They threw it there, and that was the end of it. Years pass, expires in 2007. They refresh it again in 2007. And where does the Knockout trademark end up? On a Revenge of the Fallen Scout class toy, the green motorcycle of Knockout. And he's an Autobot. And that's it. Not much really to say about it. Here's this character. Sure thing. Again, just to keep that trademark alive, they put one item out every full run of 4 years. 4 years pass again, expires in 2011. They refresh it again. And in 2011, we get the Speed Stars Knockout, which was part of the Stealth Force subline. If anyone remembers those, they were like these little Transformers that only were stuck in their alt mode, and you pushed a button and some weapons popped up, kind of like the Starcom toys back in the day. I kind of dug them a little bit. The Inferno one was pretty cool. So they did a Knockout, which was now this like weird like Can-Am Spider motorcycle in gray and silver, and it had, you know, these pop-up weapons and everything. And again, an Autobot named Knockout. Sure. Why not? Still not really. Imagine all this time, all these different versions, a Micromaster, a Minicon, part of the Ultra Magnus, a Scout motorcycle Autobot in green, and now this Stealth Force, you know, silver motorcycle. Where does this character belong? Who should he be? What's the iconic look for him with this Knockout trademark? Now here's where it gets interesting. In 2011 of that same year, Transformers Prime debuts as a TV series. And in March of 2011, we are introduced to the character of Knockout. And it changes the game. Oh, finally we have a trademark put with a character that's appealing and awesome and voiced by this really cool guy, Darren Norris, who's a very well-known voice actor. Very cool guy, too. I got to hang out with him at TFCon 2011. And everything changes after that. All of a sudden, the Knockout trademark finally has a place that could be used perpetually forever, associated with a popular character, as opposed to being thrown around and jumping around like it had for the past 2 to 3 decades. And he got a whole bunch of toys between 2012 and 2015. Now, after 2015, that's when the trademark expired. So Hasbro refreshed the trademark, but here's the problem. They had no plans to do anything with the Knockout character after Transformers Prime. So what did they do to keep that trademark safe? They took the Knockout brand and name and threw it at Beyblade stuff. Literally all of that time. So all of these, you pick up Beyblades, and there's the Knockout battle sets. Knockout trademark battle sets. So thank you, Beyblade, for keeping Knockout alive as a trademark. In 2019, though, the trademark expired, but it was refreshed. And it has been refreshed now, and there hasn't been anything since, but now we have these two items, both the RED figure and this potential Legacy Deluxe Class Evolution figure on the horizon to be released hopefully before the 2023 expiration date. So, again, convoluted history, but an interesting history nonetheless when we see how sometimes Transformer characters are all over the place before they find where they belong. Barricade was another example of that. Bulkhead. There's a whole bunch. And again, even Blackout. They end up kind of all over the place before they find their truly iconic look and design. And when we look at stuff like Knockout, he had a lot of figures during that Transformer Prime era, but none of them I felt really 100% captured the actual CG model design 100%. I find that even the more smaller, I guess we'll call them the Legion scale or the Legend scale, the small ones, did a better job. than even that of the deluxe class. I think the deluxe classes, they were okay. Maybe that first release in the Robots in Disguise line was better, like the sub line. But, you know, I kind of liked out of every Knockout toy that's made up to this point. I think the Crockout, which was the Crocodile Knockout, I think that's my favorite one. You know, he had a Creo, he had a few other things here, but nothing really too appealing. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what they're going to do to really re-envision this character. I'm hoping they tackle that Transformers Prime design and using the engineering cues that we know today and probably the new design team to really match what we saw on the screen and get a better example of it. I really hope for that. Much like how in a lot of ways some of the Transformer Kingdom toys looked at what, let's say, you know, at the time what Masterpiece is doing and reinventing it. Because, I mean, we look at, like, let's say Masterpiece Dinobot, and then we look at like 2011's Dinobot, Beast Wars Dinobot, and how rough that was. And then they took the Masterpiece engineering and gave us that Voyager Dinobot that we got in Kingdom that's oh so amazing. I'm kind of hoping for the same thing, that we're going to take what we learned from Masterpiece, look at what was done in 2012, 2013 with Knockout, and then re-envision it into something that's amazing with the engineering that we know today for that deluxe price point. That's at least what I'm hoping. It's a great character, one of my favorite characters from the Transformers Prime line and the show. So really cool dude, red car. How could you go wrong with a red sports car? Hopefully we'll get some more information soon. Let me know what you think about it. But I just really wanted to use this as an excuse to kind of talk about just that weird history of trademarks and how Knockout is one of those examples that have just perpetually survived throughout the years by being all these different things before it finally settled on that red sports car Decepticon medic that he is today.